Today's objective is today we'll solve word problems involving length by writing an equation and using a number line to compare lengths. Now it's your turn to repeat today's objective back to me. Ready? Today we'll solve word problems involving length. Nice job. By writing an equation and using a number line. Sounds great. To compare lengths. Great job. Now let's go over today's important vocabulary. So our first word is difference in length. And when we're talking about a difference in length, we're talking about comparing how much longer or how much shorter one object is than another. We also have the word total length. So of course that just means the sum of lengths for two or more objects. We have the word equation, which is just a number sentence that has an operation in it, like addition or subtraction, and it also needs to have an equal sign. Our last word is number line, which you should recognize from our recent lessons. And a number line is just a math tool that we use to help us track this sequence of numbers. And down below, you can see an example of a number line. To complete today's lesson, you have 4 simple steps to follow. So step 1 is to read the word problem, and don't forget to identify any clue operation words and highlight all of the important information you need to do step 2, which is to write the matching equation. Step 3 is to make a number line, and if your math journal gives you an actual number line, there might be parts missing, so you'll need to fill those out. Step 4 is to solve. Alright, so I'm going to model 2 problems for you today, and the directions at the top of the page say solve. Number 1 says, at recess, Sarah ran 37 yards and Jim ran 12 yards. How many yards did they run in total? So, now that I've done step 1, which was to read the word problem, I need to go back and identify any clue operation words that I see, and also to pull out the important information I need to solve this problem. So I have a marker and I'm going to use it to highlight the important information and any clue operation words I find. So I'm highlighting 37 yards because that's how many yards Sarah ran. I'm highlighting 12 yards because that's how many yards Jim ran. And then it asks, how many yards did they run in total? And that phrase, in total, gives me a clue that we're talking about addition. So now I need to do step 3, which is to write an equation. So I'm going to take my 2 numbers from the word problem, 37 and 12, and those become my addends. And I know that they're addends because remember, I'm doing addition. And then I also need an equal sign, otherwise it is not an equation. And I'm solving for an unknown. So I represent an unknown with some sort of symbol that I can draw quickly, or with a letter, as long as it's not O, because otherwise O looks like a 0. Next, I'm going to solve this equation to find the total for this unknown on my number line. So, since I'm doing addition, I know that I'm going to start at the left side of my number line and move to the right. Because remember, as we move right on a number line, numbers actually get bigger. You have told me that so many times this year. So, starting at 37, I'm going to make my dot. That's where I start. And then writing in 37. And then I'm actually going to take my second addend, and if I wanted to do 12 little bunny hops, I could do that, but I'm actually going to separate it into 10s and 1s so that I can just take 1 big hop and 2 little hops. Remember, it's 1 big hop because there's only 1 10. If this number was 20, then I would take 2 big hops. If this number was 30, I would take 3 big hops, and so on. So I make my big hop kind of far away. I'm going to make my 2 little hops closer together. And then I'm going to mark the numbers. So remember, my big hop is actually worth 10. So I write plus 10. My little hops are worth just 1. And I always draw an arrow to show where I land. So plus 1, plus 1. So 37 plus 10 is equal to 47. I added that in my head, but if I needed help, I could also add on my fingers or just count up by ones. So 47 plus 1 is 48. 48 plus 1 is 49. That's where I land. So the total is 49. So I come back up to my equation, and now that I know what the unknown is equal to, I'm going to add that to my equation. Number 2 says, Philip measured 46 inches tall in first grade and 52 inches tall in second grade. How much did Philip grow? So I just did step 1, which was to read the word problem. Next, I need to write my equation, but I can't write my equation until I find clue operation words and all of the important information from the word problem. So I have my highlighter, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to highlight all of the important information I need to write my equation. So it's important to know that Philip was 46 inches tall in first grade. It's also important to know that in second grade, he's 52 inches tall. Now, they're asking, how much did Philip grow? So essentially they're saying, between first grade and second grade, how much taller is Philip now? So this means that they want us to do subtraction. Anytime a word problem asks you to find the difference between one thing and another, it's asking you to do subtraction, so to find a difference. So in subtraction, to write an equation, I always need to start with the bigger number. If I start with the smaller number, then my difference will end up being a negative number. And in second grade, we don't work with negative numbers. So I start with 52, and I'm going to subtract 46. So my minuend is 52, my subtrahend is 46, and I am solving for an unknown. Now, since I am doing subtraction on my number line this time, I'm going to start at the far right end, and I put a dot over the number I am starting on, and that number is 52, my bigger number. Now, 46 is a big number, so I don't want to spend all afternoon counting backwards 46 on my number line, so I'm going to break it into tens and ones so that I can take some big hops and some little hops. So there's a 4 in the tens place, so I have 40, and then there's a 6 in the ones place, so I have 6. So this means I'm going to take 4 big hops backwards and then 6 little hops. So 1, 2, 3, 4 big hops, and I'm going to go ahead and take those now. I'm also going to mark them as minus 10 each so I don't forget that those are big hops. And then I'm going to take 6 little hops backwards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Great. I almost ran out of space, but not quite. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to land here, so I draw my arrow. I'm going to mark that these are minus 1 each. All right, and then now I just need to label the number line with the proper numbers. So 52 minus 10 is 42. 42 minus 10 is 32. 32 minus 10 is 22. And 22 minus 10 is 12. And then 12 minus 1, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. So I circle 6 because that's the number that I land on. So Philip was 6 inches shorter in first grade than he was in second grade. Or you could say that Philip is 6 inches taller in second grade than he was in first grade. And I'm going to come mark that up here, add that to my equation. So my unknown is equal to 6 inches. Now it's your turn to get started with your independent practice pages. So head over to Google Classroom. You'll find you have 2 options, the same ones as always. Option 1 is to print off the worksheets and to do them by hand. If you choose this option, don't forget to follow the link to Seesaw to do a math presentation so that I can see your work. If you choose option 2, that means you're going to edit the template on Seesaw, submit that, and then also do your math presentation on Seesaw. Good luck!